jump off early, then just give us an email and we'll try our best to accommodate. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it back to Amir to allow Shruti to share her screen. And thank you all in advance for listening and participating in your interest in learning about televëda. Over to you, Shruti.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Angela. That was really helpful. Good morning, everybody. It is extremely rainy in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm hoping that it's not so terrible out there for wherever you all are joining. But very good morning to everybody, and thank you so very much for your time. I am going to take a minute here to share my screen. All right, hopefully everybody can see that. All right, so before we get going, I would love if you have any questions and comments or any burning desire to say anything at all, please post it in the Zoom group chat. Or if you have any questions that you want to email me, please feel free to email me at shruti@televëda.com. Do not save it for later. It's kind of a quirky photograph I found. I thought it's cute. Please feel free to interrupt and interject as questions come up, as comments come up, because I would love for this to be an interactive session and not a monologue. So my email will also be available on every slide as I go along on the bottom right or the bottom left corner. So please feel free to reach out. I would like to introduce televëda's Chief Technology Officer, who's also on this call. His name is Mayank Mishra, and you can send him comments directly using the chat box as well if you have any questions on technical issues or the software or what have you. But I am Shruti Gurudanti. I am the CEO, co-founder of this company that we launched based in Phoenix, Arizona. And I have a very deep-rooted connection to this company because I started it after seeing a very deep need in my own family with my own grandparents as they aged and wanted to find meaningful programming and meaningful socialization, but because of various reasons, they felt that they were unable to get that socialization. So we created televëda with the mission that no senior should ever feel alone again, and they should have the ability to interact and socialize wherever they are, whatever life cycle they're in. So about 14 months back, I met with Nancy Smith, who is a wellness director at a senior community with over 300 residents. She has 6 wellness directors working with her, and these guys are fantastic. They work all the time trying to put together a robust and full activity calendar for all of their community members. And this is a community, I'm sure a lot of you here maybe recognize this feeling, but this community has very high achieving and very well-educated residents. They're doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, pilots. And so they're very vocal about what activities they like, what programs they want to see, and they express that to their team. So the team works really hard in trying to understand from the community what is it that the residents want to see. Then they try to put together the calendar and then make sure that once they know what activity they want to do, they go and find the instructor, then make sure the instructor doesn't cancel out, and make sure that the place is in order, and then remind their residents, and then bring their residents. And then when they have any time, I don't know how they have all this time to do so much work, but when they do, then they have their routine administrative paperwork that they have to do. And when I met Nancy, she was in this situation where, and this might sound familiar to some wellness players out here, she had one director who was trying to go on vacation for a week. She had another director who was exiting and she was trying to bring someone in new. And unfortunately, at the same time when she was trying to grapple with all of this, they had their resident engagement reports come in. And she was very disappointed to see that no matter how hard they worked and no matter all the effort that they were putting in, there was a chunk of their population that was not attending programs. And so we dug deep into why exactly this was happening, because as people who are younger we don't realize that, sometimes something as small as hygiene issues or, exhaustion can be a really hindering aspect for someone who's in their 80s or, in their late 70s. And so we figured that even though it is the assumption that when people live in a senior living community, social isolation, loneliness is not a problem, there are real barriers why people are unable to attend events. It could be, like I said, exhaustion, hygiene issues, mobility struggles. Sometimes people just don't get along. They lack the confidence that, I've been moved into this place. I don't know anybody. And so we realized that isolation is a real issue. And now Charlie Sheen might be able to smoke 15 cigarettes a day, but social isolation is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day for anybody. And that leads to real serious health issues for people. And this is a real hair on fire problem for senior living communities. Because studies show that when people are affected by isolation or loneliness, it reduces their lifespan by about 2.7 years. That means you're creating this revolving door sort of system where people are not living as long as they could in your community. And now, which means you're having to spend more money on marketing and having to bring more people in and keep those beds occupied. Also, your average lifetime value when someone doesn't live as long as they should be is roughly about 108,500 per resident. And imagine if 25% of residents are being affected by this, that's a $2.8 million problem for any senior living community. And it's interesting that every senior living community, no matter how beautiful it is, how beautiful the architecture is, real estate is, you do have a segment of your population that is affected by this issue. So what we were doing previously with wellness activities and engagement is interesting. I don't know if you remember, but long time back, we had wellness would be a table in an activity room, and we would have people just gather around and do a puzzle, or you would put out some sort of a game. People would come and go as they wish. That was 20 years back. We've thankfully moved along from that to a situation today where most communities would have about, your 7 to 8 elements of wellness, spiritual, health, emotional, what have you. And, we're trying to bring activities that are, with respect to those elements of wellness. And we're trying to make programming better, increase engagement. But really the current options in wellness are to hire additional staff and to bring in more in-person activities or invest in your recreational rooms, your pools and spas. These are your current options. And if you continue to use your current options, if we continue to do what we are doing today, we still are going to have a good chunk of your population that is not engaging in any activity. So these solutions that you're implementing just by math are quite costly. You're spending about $40,000 a year to hire additional wellness staff. And by bringing in more programming with the hope that something might stick, mathematically you're spending about $900 a year without really knowing whether these programs are working. And you already have an industry with a staff turnover of over 30%. So your current solutions are clearly expensive. And that's where televëda comes in. This is the problem that we're trying to solve. We're trying to empower wellness teams in senior living communities by helping the team get curated content, which is led by experts. All of the programming is live, and the best part is that the programming is now virtual, which means that every single senior, every single resident, no matter where they are in the community, they now have the ability to engage in live programming from the comfort of wherever they are, as long as they have Wi-Fi. So who is televëda and how do we make this happen? So in a short one sentence sort of description, we are an online platform that provides content. So we create all of the programs based on a community's needs. And since we are all virtual, we create virtual community centers or senior living communities or senior health centers where all of the programming is now available to all of the residents or seniors online. And all of the programming is live. So everything is done on our end. We create the content, we go out and find the instructors, we make sure that the instructors or experts are there and present on the date and time, so you don't have to worry about figuring out what happens if there's a cancellation. And it's scalable, which means that if you have multiple locations, you can have the same class being used by multiple locations at the same time. And since we are virtual now, even if you have residents who, I'll give you a story. We have Jack Spear, who is a resident at a community here. This gentleman is fantastic. He's in his early 80s and he lives in an independent living facility. And recently he was playing golf and he had a ligament rupture. And so now he's in the health center for 4 weeks and he's not able to go anywhere or do anything. This person is so active and it's so hard for him to be in a place. But because of having the televëda platform and access to our content, he's now able to engage in classes from his healthcare room and continue to participate with the community, stay active and engage and play games. So what is the content that we are providing? And again, please feel free to stop me at any point in time if you have any questions and if you have any comments, because I would love to hear your thoughts and answer any questions I could. So our classes are not your average sort of, bingo or other sort of more routine classes. We have very highly specialized programs that we curate, which provide meaning and purpose to all of our viewers. So we have classes that are focused on brain games. We have classes that are led by a NASA scientist talking about space travel. And we thought that, when we go to our community and ask them, hey, what kind of classes do you want? They would, come up with something like, we want to know more about Medicare, or we want to know more about, what is nutritious and what is not nutritious. But we actually got the response that they want to have a program run by the space station and they want to talk to the space station. So it's interesting that when you actually listen to the community, that they really want high level content and high level programming. And so those are the kind of classes. We have a tap dancing class run by a Team USA member. He's been ranked 11th best as a tap dancer in the world. And we have another class that's being run by a professor in Oxford who talks about Shakespeare. And so that's the level of content that we provide. And again, we really do not need the community to worry about finding these experts. That's all done on our end. And so these are specialized programs. You have access to world-class content, and we tailor the classes to the best of our abilities to the needs of the community. So I want to talk about one of our most popular classes, which is, so I have a question from Angela that says, are you able to customize content for your site? And the answer is absolutely. So we are right now very, very nimble, and we are, because we're a smaller team right now, we are able to customize content for each community. So I'll give you an example. We're talking to a community based in Seattle, Washington State in the US, and they had a very specific requirement that we want our classes, they want to have the NASA scientist class, and they want to have it only on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock, and we have made that happen for them. We have another community which is based in Maryland. They came up to us and said that, hey, we want to have classes on X, Y, and Z time, so that's Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And we would like to have, classes on geology, and we would like to have classes on, space. And so we have been able to customize these classes for them. So right now is a really good time to talk to us if you have a site that wants customized content and high level content. So thank you, Angela, for asking that question. I was talking about our most popular class right now is called Empowered Living. So this is a 60-minute program where we have about 45 minutes of highly engaging brain games, and it's gamified where people have points, scores, there are teams, and individuals can participate and get rewards in it. And we have a small amount, about 10 minutes of breathing, mindfulness, and light stretches, because we truly believe, after talking to doctors and seeing research, that holistic wellness is important. It's not just your workout of your body, but your brain needs to be active as well. And so as part of this empowered living, we have brain games. And in fact, I have a few brain games for everybody here, because I think it'll be good if you're wondering what kind of games we're talking about. Excuse me, I had a tickle in my throat. So I think it would be good if everyone could respond in, excuse me, everybody, in the chat box here if you have a response. But homonyms are essentially two words that are pronounced the same, but they're spelled differently. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, so homonyms, spelled differently, they mean two different things, but they sound the same. So these are just examples of some of the games that we play. So does anyone want to take a shot on what would be the first one? And you can feel free to just say it out loud. Any takers? No? Angela, do you want to give it a shot?
No, I am completely stumped. I don't know. This is something my kids would do in school, and I see them, but I can't help you. Someone else has got to help me out here.
So we're looking for knight and knight. So a man who served the king in the Middle Ages would be a knight, like you are knighted as someone, and the period from sunset to sunrise is night. So the purpose of these games is really to give our seniors and our participants a chance to actually exercise their brain. But at the same time, well, there you go. Lynn got it right. Good job, Lynn. Thank you. So the goal is that you practice, exercises that are good for your brain, but at the same time, because we gamify it, it's almost like Wii bowling. For those of you who, and Ryan got the second one right, Erie and Erie, very good. So those of you who are aware of the Wii bowling phenomena, which is huge in senior living communities, our empowered living is essentially the same sort of concept, where we have tournaments, people form groups, and then we have 5 rounds of games like these. And at the end of each round, we have points, and then whoever the winner is, at the end of every 3 months, we give them a meal for the group at whatever their favorite restaurant is. So the last 2 communities, the winners wanted to have a meal at Red Lobster, which is really popular here in the US. And so we gave everybody meals to the Red Lobster. So this is just an example of how we try to create engagement. And again, keep in mind that all of our folks are able to participate in a group and as well as individually from their room. So the goal is that no resident is ever left behind in an activity. So I have a question from Jen Chen. How do you find your first customer to adapt to this new platform, new way of services? So that's a great question, Jen. Thank you. We have been live and we are active in several communities already across the US. And in fact, we're piloting with 2 communities in Vancouver as well. So it has truthfully not been so much of a challenge for us to find communities that want to adapt this new technology, because online programming and online gaming and online activities are inevitable. It is happening. It's happening right now. And so the question really is that do communities want to adapt to this today and be an early adopter and work with us and work with the kinks right now? Or do you want to play catch up later on? Because it is inevitable, it is coming. Think about it as options with dining. When dining started 20 years ago, it was all about nutrition, what kind of food you're feeding to keep people just healthy. But today, we're talking about dining as an experience. Dining has to be not just good food, but the ambience has to be good. People really need to enjoy that experience of having a good meal. And something as simple as in-room dining, which is delivery of food to people in their rooms, did not exist many years ago. And when they implemented it, there wasn't really this expectation that it would change resident satisfaction. But studies have shown that 80% of resident satisfaction has increased by having something as simple as in-room dining. So giving people the option of different kinds of food options is actually very, very good for communities to increase their engagement, increase resident satisfaction. And so the same goes for activities. We've been doing the same sort of wellness programming for the last how many ever years. If we continue to do the same sort of wellness programming without having any options whatsoever for people, we'll stay in this same situation. But I'm saying that we can actually create a world where wellness is also an option for people to engage in from wherever they are and continue to stay active and social. I hope that answers your question, Jen. Melissa, is Televëda created to be hosted at a senior living facility, or can a community member living alone partake? So fantastic question, Melissa, thank you. So far, we work with senior living communities. So our client, in very technical terms or business terms, our client is the senior living community or a senior center at the municipality level or a non-medical home care center. So we work with the businesses. Our beneficiaries or our participants are the seniors who our clients work with. And so if, say for example, because Amir is here, I will use him as an example here. So if Berwick was our partner community and Berwick were to tell us that, hey, we have our prospective lead who lives in our neighborhood and we know that this is a hot lead, we would like for this person to be able to participate live in our Berwick programming to see how great our community is and to meet with our residents. In those instances, absolutely, we will help Berwick and the community to give access to this individual, even if they're staying in their home and outside of the community environment. Hopefully that answers your question. But if you have any follow-up, please let me know, Melissa. I'm going to go back to my slide. All right, great. Spooky, creepy, or one of the Great Lakes of North America. And I think Ryan got the answer right. We were looking for Erie and Erie. Thank you. Okay, I have another one here. Hopefully I will have some takers. We have to count the number of the letter F appearing in the following sentence. You have 8 seconds. Go. Okay, all right. I have Lynn saying 7, Jen saying 8, and Ali saying 7. All right, let's see. The right answer I was looking for is 8. So good. Jen, good job. You have a very sharp eye. So that's another question that we would have had in our virtual tournament. So for those of you who got 7, I know where you got stumped. Likely you would not have counted the F in the word off. So the theory there, or the understanding there, is that off is the letter F there, our brain doesn't recognize it because it's something that we see so often in sentences that we don't consider it as a word. Also, the way we say F is a different way of saying F as compared to where we say Franny. It's more, the sound of F is stronger. So those of you who got 7, it's totally normal for this to happen. But our seniors, as they do these games, they actually get really get good at it. So there you go. I just wanted to give you a glimpse of how some of our tournaments work. This is, I just wanted to give a glimpse of our space class run by our NASA scientists. And we have green screens, and we have literally, it is really well done. And we have green screens, we have photographs. As you can see in this image here, and I'll just point it out, we have people joining in individually from their rooms. At the end of the seminar, or at the end of the series, residents got a certificate of graduation that they graduated from a space class. So these are photographs from our class, just so you get a sense of how it looks. My slides are stuck for some reason. All right, there you go. Okay. So how does all of this work? I'm sure all of you are wondering. So how do we get going? So senior living communities, senior centers, non-medical home care providers, they sign up with us on a monthly subscription basis. And you instantly get access to at least 4 classes a month at a minimum. You can get more than that. Depends on how our conversation goes, what you're looking for, how we can customize the program for you. And your residents can participate as a group, or they can participate individually from their rooms. So I have 2 images here that give you sort of an understanding of how that works. So this is a gentleman participating from the comfort of his wherever he wanted to. And this is a group participating in our class. So that's essentially just an understanding of how communities sign up with us. The platform is very easy to access. I often get a question that, our seniors are not very tech savvy. How do we get them to access this? And do they need a username and password? So all of that is not required in our case. Keep in mind, I built this for my grandparents who are not at all tech savvy. And all they have to do is, at the time of the class, is go to televëda.com and click a button that says join class. That's it. And boom, they are in a virtual classroom engaging live with the instructor and with the rest of the people who are participating in their class. They can hear, they can talk, they can get responses. It's all live, it's all interactive, it's all engaging. It's not like a YouTube or a Facebook Live or any other platform where it's passive engagement, where they're just consuming content and most likely sleeping while watching it, because it's no different from watching a television or watching a news anchor talk about what's going on in the world. And so it's very simple and easy to access. So I have a question from Jen. What's the most challenging part along the way from building up the service to making this business work? Great question. The most challenging part has been, I guess at this point, it would be, I understand communities are extremely busy. So the most challenging part has been to actually sometimes get communities to calendar programs with us in a timely manner. So what I mean by that is, we would have, the partnership would have started, we would have agreed with the client that, all right, this is, the day we're starting the pilot, this is how it's going to go. And then after 2 months, the community sometimes gets busy in their day-to-day scheduling, and then they forget to get back to us in a timely manner to tell us about the classes that they want. And they get back to us about a week before they want to do a class and say, hey, can I do a class on, let's take an example of the one that I recently had. Was this community wanted to do a class about unsolved murder mysteries. the 11 most popular unsolved murder mysteries, and they wanted someone from the University of Arizona to come and do that presentation. And they told us a week before that they wanted to have this presentation done. So that's been one of our challenge, to get community to understand that we need about 30 days to get some of this really high level programming done. But that's a good question. Thank you. Hopefully that answers, Jen, your question. If not, just let me know and I'll come back. All right, great. Perfect. Easy to access features. So our platform, like I said, is two-way interactive. It is not a YouTube, it's not Facebook Live, it's not your TV screen that you're just watching and observing. We are device agnostic. What that means is all we need is for the resident or the community to have a device that has Wi-Fi on it. It doesn't matter whether it's Samsung or iPad or iPhone or whatever it is. We can use any device as long as it has a Wi-Fi on it, and it's one click. There's no username, no password, so it's very easy for staff and seniors to access the platform and stay active and engaged in the community. The thing that we pride ourselves most about is our tech support. We have a technology team that is available 24/7 around the clock. You have a problem, a resident has a problem, call us anytime in the day or night. Someone will pick up the phone and help you join a class. There is never going to be an issue on not having the right support. Unlike, imagine a situation where you're trying to watch something on Facebook Live. Good luck in trying to call Facebook Live if you're not able to get through. Or good luck in trying to call YouTube. It's never going to happen that you can pick up a phone and actually talk to a human being there. So we really pride ourselves in providing tech support. And last but not the least, our community partners really, really appreciate our data reports that we share with them. And so what that means is every quarter, we provide all of our community partners with a data report which tracks how many participants participated in a class, what was their mood at the time of entering the class, and what was their mood at the time of exiting the class. Did they really have a delightful experience? That's important for us to track. And we also track basically what is the NPS score. So what that means is how likely are the residents to communicate to other residents or other people that they want to continue to participate in this class and that they want to recommend this class to other people. So for us, it's really important that because we see the residents on a regular basis, that if we spot something unusual about a resident, we also flag that. And I'll give you an example. We have, and I'm changing the name here for HIPAA and other healthcare compliance reasons, but let's call her Evelyn for our example today. Evelyn is in her mid-80s, and she is very active, extremely active, and is an independent living resident. And she has been participating in our virtual tournaments from, I think now about 11 months. A few weeks back, almost about a month back, we had our instructor tell us that Miss Evelyn is actually not doing as well in her brain games. She's having some memory lapses. And so we flagged that immediately to our community partner in our data report. And the feedback that we got from our community partner was that it was good that we flagged that for them because they were able to actually take stock of it earlier rather than having to wait for one of the nurses to figure it out. Because as you all know, community staff is very, very busy at all times. So to the extent we can help our community partners with such data reporting, we do. All right, I don't know why my screen keeps getting stuck. All right, so we talked about how there are definitely other avenues out there. You can use Google Hangouts, Skype, Zoom, what have you. One of the questions I always get is, why can I not just use Zoom like we're doing right now? And you absolutely can. But the question is that you try to explain to your residents that you have to go on to the software and download it and remember your username and your password and your mother's maiden name. These are things we take for granted a lot, but it's not as easy and it's not as accessible for people. So that's the reason why our platform is a lot easier to integrate. So in our experience, we've been live for since July 2018. So we're a startup, but we've been working with several communities since the day we launched. And the two things that seniors tell us, and the reason why they continue to be a part of our program, is that they find the content to be very inspiring and unique. It's not your average class. It is not your average programming. These are, we provide content and we provide engagement to individuals in a very different manner. We gamify things. And so that brings back people again and again to our platform. And we make it very easy for residents to continue to be a part of the community, even when there are days when they feel that they cannot participate as a group along with their friends. Being a part, belonging to a group, belonging to a community is what human beings are made for. And by having programming virtual and interactive, your community will be able to give people the ability to continue to feel the sense of belonging, even when there are days when they're not able to leave their room. And so senior living communities have used us in varying manners. And we have different use case scenarios, which I will talk about, because one of the big asks that I have from this group and individuals who are here today is we're looking for pilot partners in all across North America. We're in that phase where we're looking to partner with senior living communities, senior centers, non-medical home care providers, to bring this platform in a manner where we could help residents engage. And so senior communities who have already partnered with us use us in differing manners as we pilot with them. So one example would be that they use, like it says, invite family, friends, and prospects. So communities have used our programming as a way to invite existing family members to participate in programming, bring in residents, prospective residents, and see how a community actually engages, personalized selling, if you will. But I think the two big reasons why communities really like partnering with us is A, they have peace of mind. So when I was talking about Nancy, when Nancy partnered with us, we started as a pilot for about 12 weeks. And the thing that she really liked was that if she had staff members going on vacation, if she had staff churn and she was bringing in someone new, which as you all know, takes a while, she did not have to worry about creating content because it was just a push of a button. And she knew that content was already created. She just had to put it on her calendar. So it gave her that peace of mind that she's still prepared. And secondly, it increases participation. The community is now creating engagement and wellness without walls. You're not saying that, hey, if you want to engage in our music class, or if you want to engage in this arts and crafts class, you have to come down to the activity center. Otherwise, it is what it is. Now you're saying we are a community without walls. Our activities can be engaged by people anywhere, no matter where they are. So you're increasing participation just by giving that option. So like I said previously, we are looking for pilot partners. So if you are a part of this group, please write me a note either in the chat box, or please email me at shruti@televëda.com. That's right here on the bottom left corner. We are really looking to partner with forward-thinking communities, whether independent living, assisted living, long-term care, or senior centers, or non-medical home care companies who are willing to bring this technology to the forefront, and who are willing to take that ride with us now and be early adopters. We are 100% virtual, and so it does not matter whether you're in Burnaby or Surrey or you are in Toronto. It really doesn't matter. All of it is virtual, and we can work with you regardless of where you are. You can be Asian, we can work with you as well. A question I get asked a lot is, what does a community need in order to be a pilot partner? All we really need is for the community to have Wi-Fi. It's very low cost setup. There's really no hardware that we need from the community's perspective. We really just need good Wi-Fi. I do understand that sometimes communities can have not so high speed of upload and download. And if that were a case, we could help with providing hotspots or doing some sort of other back and forth with you, figuring out how we can get that Wi-Fi up. That being said, we are a software that works with latency. So what that means is that our software is designed such that, say for example, you have very low upload speed, just hypothetically, our software would adjust so that there's no choppiness, or there's no breakage. You can still see the class and it continues. Basically, in layman terms, it just adjusts according to the frequency that you have. I have a question that was sent to me about what languages, and this is from Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. What languages is televëda content created with? If it is only English, do you have plans on expanding multilingual content? I ask because I work at a senior day center with a large population of Chinese leaders with limited English language skills. So Ryan, thank you so much for asking me this question, because it was one of the things I was going to talk about later on as I show you one of our use cases. But I'll talk about it now. We partnered with a community down in California called Front Porch. Maybe you've heard of them. They have multiple communities across California, and we did a project with them because they were having a similar situation. They have two communities that are predominantly Korean-speaking Korean-speaking residents. And they were having a similar situation where, because of language barriers, they were having a hard time making sure that everybody was engaged. So when we partnered with them, we tailored all of our brain games, and so they signed up with us to do virtual tournaments. And so how it looked was they two of their communities, one was in Northern California, the other was in Southern California. We had virtual tournaments, like the brain games that we did were played by both communities at the same time, and all of the content was designed keeping in mind the Korean culture. We did have an interpreter that the communities had brought in. So we had an interpreter and also, in fact, an ASL translator at both places, and each of the communities who were helping translate the content and the questions and the games to the residents. But we were able to customize the content for, for Korean culture. And we had a question, actually, I remember very clearly, which was, how many world recognized kimchis are there in the world? I think I just messed up the question, but how many kimchis are there recognized in the world? And I believe it's about 156. So that there are things that we do which help customize content for each specific community, because we understand that, again, the sense of belonging is only going to increase when you really give people meaningful and purposeful information and content. So to answer your question, yes, we will be more than happy to customize it for based on your community. And our typical pilot, going back to the pilot partners that we're looking for, is 12 to 16 weeks. So that is our pilot period. So we do a rollout for over 12 to 16 weeks, and I'll talk about the phases super quick. And I just saw that I had a question again. What are your metrics of evaluation during a pilot to help demonstrate success? All right, I will talk about that in a second. Thank you so much for the question. So in terms of a pilot rollout, our step one is to calendar the pilot. What that means is we get on a call with the whole wellness team at a community, and we talk to them about what is a good time to do a pilot rollout. And I'll just use real life examples. True story, we're talking to a lot of communities right now who we've been talking to about rolling out the pilot starting in January. And so our first call would be, what is the date in January you're looking at? That's step one. We figure out a day and a time based on the community's availability. And then we do a Wi-Fi test, which is our step two, which is basically 20 minutes. My CTO, Mayank Mishra, who's on this call today, he jumps on a call with whoever the IT team is or the wellness team is at the community level for 20 minutes. We do a Wi-Fi test, and then we roll out the pilot in phases. So phase one is, excuse me for a second. Boy, it's hard to keep talking for so long. So phase one is when we roll out our virtual tournaments. And the reason we do the virtual tournaments first is because it's our most popular class. We've seen a lot of success with it. And so we always like to start with things that we know are going to be good and are going to be successful. So we start with 4 weeks or 2 weeks of about our empowered living program. That's the virtual tournament. And then phase two is where we really customize it for the community. And I'll talk about the customized use cases in a bit. So one of our early community partners, when we did a pilot rollout with them, it was the same situation. Their phase one was to do empowered living, our virtual tournaments, and phase two was what they wanted to do. Was they told us that, hey, you know, we have multiple buildings across the campus, and none of their residents seem to interact with each other because it's a huge campus. They have separate dining rooms, they have individual activity rooms, and what have you. And we're having to spend a lot of money trying to get activities individually for each building. And also these people never interact with each other. So we would want to implement your platform in a way that integrates operations and integrates, you know, the residents with each other. It also helps us reduce our staff burden, because then the staff doesn't have to go and find multiple instructors and multiple programming for each individual building. And so we did that for them in their phase two, where we rolled out the same class across multiple buildings. And now you had basically a campus where everyone was engaging with everyone in these virtual tournaments. And so that was really fun. And at the end of the pilot, we saw that we had about $60 of savings per class for the community, which was very, very significant for them over the period of time. We have another community partner that wanted to use our platform for integrating their prospective sales leads. So what that means is in our phase one, as always, we had the empowered living classes, and then we, in our phase two, let people use our links, customized links, to be sent to their potential waiting list members, to their hot leads, so they can now really see how the participants, how the community members participate in engagement wellness programs in the community and how well they're doing. And then the last one is where we had one of our community partners did not have very high engagement because the residents were not feeling as motivated. So we did a same sort of pilot rollout with them. And at the end, we measured mood scores and emotional well-being, and we had 100% improvements in mood, and 75% showed an improvement in emotional well-being. I've already talked about the fact that we have virtual tournaments. And so this is a photograph where we have showing the Southern California and the Northern California Korean-speaking community members engaging in our virtual tournament, and they're really excited about getting the questions right here. But we've already talked about all of this, so I won't keep you long, and I know that we're running short on time. But if any of this feels too good to be true, please go onto our website, take a look at, you know, what some of our clients are talking about us. Take a look at what some of the folks, the community members are talking about us. We have a very robust team of people who really care about making sure that no senior ever feels alone again, and that seniors are always highly engaged. So the last question I have for you is, we're looking for pilot partners. This is why we're here. We would love to partner with you and see how we could bring this innovation to your community. And if you are willing to be an early adopter, because this is going to be inevitable, please let me know. Email me or drop a line in the chat box, and I would love to continue to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. I really appreciate it. Angela, back to you.
Thank you so much, Shruti. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Um, wow, I want to thank you for, first of all, being with us today. I encourage people, we can hang on the line for another 15 or 20 minutes. So if you do have questions, feel free to pop them up in the chat box. I want to thank Shruti and her team at Televëda for recognizing the beauty of marrying technology and innovation to keep our older adults well, active, socialized, having lots of fun, stumping all of us on using our on the homonyms and using our brains. Good news is there is so much good stuff going on out there. So it's our job to share and listen and do what we can through our Aging2 chapter. So feel free to drop us a line if you'd like to hear more or what we can do for you as a local chapter. I forgot to mention in the offset, we are looking for those local BC folks on the line to start a chapter in Victoria and also in the north. So stay tuned for that. Shruti, thank you very, very much. It was a great presentation. I love the number of questions and the back and forth dialogue that folks had. So thanks for joining us, everyone. And please, like I said, feel free to stay on the line and share your information if you have additional questions or would like to participate in a pilot. Enjoy your day, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for our next event through our Aging Vancouver website. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Angela. I'm just going to stay on for a couple of minutes and leave this slide up in case anyone wants some information on our contact details.
Yeah, we'll just stay on the line. There's no rush. Yeah. We're good for another 15 or 20.